Good afternoon, everyone. This is Sandy Carroll from the Berkshire County Board of Realtors. I'm going to do a quick recap of our week of advocacy. We invited our legislative delegation to come and talk about some issues that impact real estate in Berkshire County. And the way we started was actually to cover how our market has been doing, taking a look at this year compared to the last couple of years. You can see year to date, our sales are over $100 million higher than they were last year. An extra 100 homes have been sold. But in May, you can start to see our pending home sales is greatly reduced, and that's a direct correlation to the inventory issues that we've all been suffering. I'm sure none of this is news to you. You can see our dollar volume has skyrocketed to $52 million in May, so the transactions are really unbalanced right now. And without more inventory or without some solutions to the housing market, we're not going to be able to get out of this crisis that we're in right now. So we talked a little bit about the pressures on housing, because I think people are thinking it might just be pandemic related, but really it's multifaceted. There's a large generational demand. We have more citizens that are interested in home ownership than ever before. We have people living longer. We have now multiple large generations in basically the housing generation ages. There's a lack of affordable retirement options in Berkshire County for our aging population. So, home ownership has been getting bottled up, and with an increase in short-term rental properties, second homes, increasing demand from outside of our areas now that people can work remotely, and really changing households where we have a lot of home ownership by single individuals, it's completely put different pressures on the housing market. Couple that with high building costs and zoning roadblocks and just that market that has stalled our development in the past several years, kind of led us to where we are. You can see this quote in 2020, there were 128 million households nationwide. Compare that to only 52 million in 1960. You can start to see where some of these numbers come from. So what we talked about is we can't simply build our way out of a housing crisis in Massachusetts or Berkshire County. It really needs to be a multifaceted solution. We have to address multi-generational needs, create alternatives for seniors, seek to remove any barriers we can to building or to renovation of our existing housing stock, and to reform zoning so that it makes sense for the community, and to just balance the tax burdens that homeowners are currently facing. You can tell that homeowners are being hit again and again because they are a large support system for each individual community. So when we talked about this, one of the things we were able to convey was our excitement about the Housing Choice Act that was passed. I appreciated all of their support. They had the act includes many different provisions. We're just going to get started and seeing how it's going to impact us in Berkshire County. But some of the quick ways that Justin Davidson talked about was in promoting accessory dwelling units, those in-law apartments or multi-use homes, also promoting starter homes in new zoning districts, adding affordable housing units within our commercial centers, and just trying for any smart growth initiative and making the way for how we can kind of work with our communities to create thriving housing growth. We did also address some of our hopes for the coming legislative session, one being fair housing and diversity. When we look at some of these housing numbers, we do see that we do need a better job at fair housing and diversity within our housing stock. And one of the parts that we wanted to take a look at was the requirements for realtors and real estate agents to have required training. Our realtors have been fantastic jumping into Fairhaven and all of the training that we offer about fair housing, but that isn't something that should only be a requirement for realtors. It should be for everybody who's licensed in the state. There are many licensees who are not realtor members and have no obligation to attend fair housing classes or anything like that. So we are hoping that there is a fair housing education component that is passed. We're also hoping for passage of a first-time homebuyer savings account. Again, it's just one more spoke in the wheel of helping us improve our housing dynamics here. It allows homebuyers or future homebuyers to save towards a down payment and claim it as an income tax deduction. It's very limited. It's a small impact to the state, but a huge impact financially if we can get more first-time homebuyers into housing. The next issue is transfer taxes. We talk to them every year about opposing transfer taxes. There are about 10 bills that are currently filed across Massachusetts, none in Berkshire County, thank goodness right now, but really the idea about yet one more tax to be on homeowners. And it's an easy tax, what they say. Sometimes it's an easy tax because it's future home sellers and future home buyers that are impacted by this. Nobody is currently. And so that's why realtors have to take the flag and fight for future homeowners. This is just not a stable source of funding. The property owners in Massachusetts already pay a considerable amount of money towards community improvements through property taxes. And we just wish that the transfer tax that exists, the stamp tax, is the only thing that would be something that the state would be using to generate additional monies on the home sale process. Rent control is something that we have always opposed. It's a burden on private property owners. And sometimes in Boston they're talking about huge developments, but here locally it's about usually small landlords with not many units, trying to keep a housing stock up to date, trying to keep their property livable and make improvements, pay their bills, and any sort of rent control is something that we would oppose. And then one resource that was provided by the Mass Association of Realtors, which is a fantastic compilation of competitive grants and sources of revenue that can be used by cities and towns for many of the projects that they would be interested in, to both create new housing or expand infrastructure or just really develop in sensible ways. There is a booklet of 36 pages or something with all different types of grants in it. I would encourage you, if you have a contact within the city or town, that you get in touch with us for a copy of this. We're going to be sending out actual hard copies, but we have a link to this as well. It's a great way for towns to actually generate some more revenue that doesn't have to be paid back, to try to work on some of the problems that they're trying to solve right now. And so that is, in a nutshell, why we are so passionate about advocacy and why it makes such an incredible difference to homeownership in Massachusetts. Thank you so much.